Hi everyone, I hope you're all well and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm doing a very highly requested video and that is how I care for my clothes. So I'm going to give you guys a lot of tips and tricks that I've learned over the years, that I've researched, and especially how I care for my whites as well, because I know you guys have been asking for this for so long and I'm really sorry it's taken me this long to get round to it, but this is what today's video is going to be all about. So hopefully I've included everything. I've got my notes here because I didn't want to miss anything, but I'm no expert in this area. So this is just what I personally do. But if you guys have any other tips, please let me know below. I'm always open to trying new things. And if there's something that you do that you know has worked for years, then please do let me know. So I've split this video up into 3 sections and I'm going to discuss how I wash my clothes, how I store my clothes, and how I maintain my clothes. So all the tips and tricks that I do. So it will be quite a lot of info in each section. So if there's one particular thing you're looking for example, how to brighten your whites, then you can just fast forward to that. But if you want to listen to the whole thing, then that would be wonderful. So grab a cup of tea and sit down and enjoy the video. So to kick this video off, I'm going to go straight back to basics with my laundry tips. So when it comes to laundry, I only have one laundry basket. So I usually wait for it to get like midway to full before I then think about planning a wash. So once I've separated them into colours, I usually pair my cottons and synthetic blends together. This is so that I'm not doing too many separate washes, and then I always select the mix setting on the machine. This is just personal preference for me. If you want to separate your cottons from your cotton blends, then that's absolutely fine. You can go ahead and do that. But this is just something I do, and the mix setting on my machine works really well. If, however, it is a wool blend, then I'll pop it on a delicate cycle, and I always wash at 30 degrees and have done for years, and this worked really well for me too. If I am washing something with a tougher stain or something that is really heavily soiled, then I will bump it up to 40, but only on those rare occasions. If you're unsure, then always check the fabric tag as well. So when it comes to washing, this is the laundry detergent that I use. This is from EcoVer, I think that's how you pronounce it, and you get so much. You get 42 washes out of this, and with me and Lee being quite sensitive to certain laundry detergents, we've tried quite a few now. This one is the best for us. It smells amazing, it's cruelty free, and it's environmentally friendly as well, so that is a win-win for us. So another tip from me is to always use the recommended amount of detergent for the size of the load you're washing. So this stops any build-up on your clothes and prevents them from going stiff as well. So now I'm going to talk about the pre-treatments that I use before washing. So this is for any heavily stained garments that you have, and these are just some remedies that I use that have worked every time for me. So I am quite a clumsy person and prone to spilling things, so I have got some experience in this area. So as soon as I spill anything, I always go and spot clean with cold water. Never use hot water because then this will actually set the stain. So usually I just use a tiny bit of detergent or soap and cold water to remove this really quickly. But if it is a tougher stain or a stain that I've missed, then I use baking powder to make a paste and then apply it to the area for 5 minutes before popping it in the wash. This is a lifesaver for me, and it's all natural as well. But if you are in a real rush and you've spilt something down yourself just before you're leaving, I've definitely done that before with a cup of tea, then this is my saviour. So this is the Vanish Power Gel stain remover, and I've used this so many times, it works every time. This is highly concentrated, so I wouldn't leave this on any longer than 5 minutes, but I only really use this if I am in a rush and I really need to get that stain out quickly, then this is perfect for that. I'm now going to talk in depth about how I wash my whites, darks and delicates. So I'm going to start with whites, and this has been one of my most asked questions on YouTube, is how do I keep my whites bright? And you can find these ingredients in your cupboards, and they are white vinegar, baking soda and lemon juice. So again, what I use on stains, I do use for my whites as well. So I'm going to start with baking soda, and this is one of the best ways to whiten and freshen your fabrics. So for stains, like I said before, make a paste of around 2 to 4 tablespoons of baking soda with enough water to make a paste. So if you just scrub the mixture into the stain and let it sit for 5–10 minutes, I'll show you a little demonstration here. Then you can pop it in the wash and wash it as usual. Or if you need an added boost of whitening, say your white t-shirts are going a bit dull, then you can add half a cup of baking soda to your usual laundry detergent. Another great thing about baking soda is that it will soften your clothes, so it's a really great natural alternative to a softener. So this is the baking soda that I use. I got a large bag from Amazon because I thought I'm going to be using it quite a lot when washing my whites anyway. So I will pop the link to this one below, but you've probably already got it in your cupboard, or you can buy it from your local supermarket too. So the next product that I've also been using as well is distilled white vinegar, and you can use this in the same way you would use baking soda. So I use 1 cup of vinegar in with my laundry detergent, and it does smell a little bit when you get the laundry out, but once it's dried you can't smell it at all, so just bear that in mind. So it was time to freshen up a few of my tops as they were looking a little dull and grey. So I added a cup full of vinegar to boiling water and set the timer for 30 minutes. I then let them boil on a low heat, making sure all parts of the tops were submerged into the water. Once the 30 minutes were up, I then put the pot to one side and let them soak for a few hours before popping them in with my regular wash. You can also leave this overnight if you want to for more discoloured pieces. And then here I've done a before and after of one of the tops. As you can see, it's so much brighter and whiter. That grey's really gone and it's looking lovely and white again. Another question I get asked a lot is how to remove yellow underarm stains from your t-shirts. And this is where distilled vinegar will be your best friend. So I've done some research recently because I wanted to know myself why this happens, and it's actually the aluminium in antiperspirant deodorants that can cause this staining. So switching to a natural deodorant will help this. So I do actually use a natural deodorant and I switched about a month ago. It's the Glossier one and it's amazing. It smells incredible, so I'll link that below as well. But if you do have any stains that you need to fix, then I'd suggest using a spray bottle to spritz white vinegar on the area, just so that it's evenly distributed, and then let it sit for an hour before washing. Now onto the nicest smelling ingredient, and that is lemons. So lemons are natural whiteners and brighteners, plus they add a clean scent to your laundry. So just like the vinegar and baking soda, you can add half a cup of lemon juice in with your regular laundry detergent for a clean and gentle whitening boost. You can also repeat this process I did earlier by using lemons instead if you really dislike the smell of vinegar. Vinegar just has a slightly higher pH than lemons, so apparently it works better. I also use these as well as backups, so if I don't have any baking soda or vinegar left, then I will reach for these. So these are oxygen-based bleaching agents, so they're a natural alternative to bleach, so this is why I like to use them as well. And they're literally just little sachets that you pop in, and this one especially really brightens your clothes, so you literally just pop that at the back of the machine, then pop your washing in and you're good to go. So this one restores whiteness and also treats greying. If you've got something that's really greying and you've done the vinegar and baking soda and everything, then you could always try and put this in the wash as well and see if it lifts it even more. I personally haven't needed to do that myself, but you could definitely try it out. If I've run out of any of the baking soda and vinegar, then I'll just reach for these just to maintain any whiteness. So if I've got any new shirts or new t-shirts that I need washing, then I'll pop this in too. So another tip to maintain your whites is don't apply any perfumes or deodorants directly onto your clothes, because this can then cause discoloration and slight yellowing as well. So I always make sure I just pop it on my skin and never on any of my clothes. Now I'm going to go on to darks, and when it comes to dark clothing, I always make sure I wash them inside out and on a cold wash. As I said earlier, I always wash at 30 anyway, so this goes for all my clothing, but especially with darks. If you do use a dryer for drying your dark clothes, then make sure they're on a very low heat, because this will prevent fading. And finally, for mixed washing, I basically do the same as how I wash my whites and darks. Always make sure it's on a 30 wash. I usually try and pair lights and darks together, so I'll do like the greys and navies together, then I'll do like the beige and camels together and make sure everything's separate. Also, when it comes to stripes, one thing I do use is the colour catcher. So if you wear any colourful dresses or mixed prints, then I definitely recommend using these. So I use the colour catchers for when I'm washing my stripes, because I have had it before where I've washed one of my long stripe t-shirts and the black has run into the cream and made it a little bit dull and grey. So I always use these now when I wash any stripes. Now on to delicates. So this is your silk, your linens, your cashmere, your wool, gentle, and I always take extra care when washing any of these fabrics. When it comes to any delicates, I always check the label and I spot clean where I can as well. So for any silk shirts and tops that I have, I spot clean with this. So this is the Delicate Laundry Detergent from Steamery, and if you don't have anything like this, you can use baby shampoo as well because it's super gentle. So if it's a small area, I'll just pour a tiny bit into a bowl, mix it around, and then just spot clean the area, just so then I'm not having to hand wash the whole garment. If you do have something that is super dirty or smelly, then you can use a delicates bag. So I got these from Amazon. I think I've got 4 of these now. So they come in a 2-pack of a large one and a smaller one. So they're really great, super handy, and they also take the worry away from anything. So I haven't actually needed to wash any of my silk shirts in the washing machine yet, but I have tried this out already with one of my silk pillowcases, and I popped it in a delicates bag and put it on a delicates wash at 30, and it came out perfect. So I feel confident enough now if I need to wash my silk shirts. So bear that in mind. Always use a delicates bag on the delicate setting and wash at 30 or under. Now on to wool and cashmere, and as beautiful as these fabrics are, they can be a real pain to wash. So I try to avoid this at all costs, so I usually reach for the steamer to remove any odour causing bacteria, spot clean where I can. Then I also use this wonderful spray, which is a bioactive fabric refresher, and it's basically a dry shampoo for your clothes. This is my favourite product. As you can see, I've used it so much, but it comes out in like a really fine mist. I don't know if you can see. So a little goes a long way. It smells amazing. It's like, I feel like it's like lavender and sandalwood. It smells very similar to this, so I love it. And this for me is something I use a lot to refresh my knitwear. Some things really do need to be washed though, and I actually got round to washing my cream cashmere jumper. So I'll share how I did the process on here now so you can see. And I know hand washing can be tedious, so for me this is always a Sunday job when I've got a little bit of time. Hence why I'd been putting it off for so long, so just didn't have chance. So I always wash my jumpers in the bathtub. This is just personal preference for me. I just find it's a lot easier to manage. So I fill the tub with water just enough to submerge the jumper, and then add half a cup of my Delicate's laundry detergent. Or you can use baby shampoo as well, like I said earlier. So I submerge the jumper into the water and focus on gently cleaning the neckline and underarms. And then after about 5 minutes or so, I then drain the tub and rinse with cold water. After washing it, I squeeze the excess water out like this. I never wring it or twist, as this can cause the jumper to misshape or stretch. I then get a clean towel and lay the jumper flat on the floor and reshape it whilst it's wet. This just ensures that when it dries in the correct shape. Sometimes with certain jumpers, they can go in a bit slightly at the hem, so just gently pull that back out, and then you can start rolling it up, and I just press gently on it with my hands to squeeze any excess water out. So once I've squeezed all the water out, I then leave it flat on my airer. Never hang any cashmere when it's wet, because this will stretch and misshape the garment completely. Once it's fully dry, I usually give it a steam to get rid of any creases and to fluff it up a little bit. And it honestly smells amazing, it feels fresh, and it's worth the process. So that's all my tips for washing done, and now going to go on to drying. Now, once all the washing's done, it's time to dry, and the only way I do this is with an airer. So it's been difficult to do this in the UK with the long winter we've had. So if this was the case for you, I definitely recommend getting a heated airer. They use a lot less energy than a dryer and putting your heating on, and it's really been a lifesaver for us. But now the weather is becoming a lot nicer, hopefully we can start hanging some things outside again, because there's nothing like a fresh breeze to dry your clothes. They just smell so much better and feel so much softer. Another thing that I do when air drying my clothes on the warmer days, I pop the airer by the window and let the breeze come in. This is especially useful if you live in the UK, where the weather is really temperamental and it could be really sunny and then it could rain the next minute. Now I'm going to talk about clothing maintenance, and my first tip is to reduce how much you're washing your clothes. So overwashing your clothes can wear and age them a lot quicker, so I try to wash as infrequently as I can, unless something really needs it. I especially try to avoid washing denim, jumpers, blazers and coats as much as I can, as these items don't really need washing that often. So as I mentioned earlier, what I do instead is I use a steamer, and this one is from Steamery and I love it. And this helps to remove odour causing bacteria and germs, and then I spray the garment with my fabric refresher. So to prevent your jumpers from smelling, I always put a t-shirt on underneath them. So I wear my more heavyweight one in the autumn winter months and a lighter one in the spring months. By doing this, you won't need to wash your more delicate pieces as frequently. And to be honest, I rarely wash my jumpers, only if they're visibly dirty or a little smelly. So now I'm going to go on to storage, and you'll know from my previous videos that I really tried to focus on buying good quality pieces, many of which have natural fibres like cotton and linen and wool, or they're a blend, and I always make sure that the natural blend is over 50% when buying my pieces, just to ensure it's good quality and the pieces are going to last longer. For example, I love to reach for linen, cotton, lyocell, wool and cashmere. So after a day at work or shooting, it's very tempting for me to just throw the clothes on the back of my chair or leave them in my suitcase. But I've been very strict with myself, and I always make sure I hang or fold everything back in its place. And also make sure that any jumpers are folded to prevent them from misshapen. I now never hang any of my jumpers. I did used to hang my cotton blend ones because they're a little bit more rigid, but it's still not good to hang them because you get that misshape in the shoulders. So all my jumpers are now folded. The only time that I do hang my jumpers now is if I'm doing a styling video for you guys and I'm showing you the piece, and then it comes straight off and back in the drawer. I also love to follow the Marie Kondo folding method because folding vertically ensures that you can see everything, and it helps with space as well. I find that I can fit more t-shirts in the drawers in this way. It's also so therapeutic. I just love folding this way. So back to hangers, and I love to use these velvet ones. They prevent any slipping and pulling, and they're a lot more gentle on your clothes as well. So as you can see here, I don't like to cram everything in my wardrobe. I really like to let my clothes breathe. So this prevents any damage as well if fibres are rubbing together. And it also just helps you find things a lot more clearly. So because the velvet hangers are super slim as well, they really help with space and allow you to get more in without it feeling really cramped. The next tip I have for you for maintaining your clothes is using a fabric shaver. So this little device is my favourite thing, and this one is from Steamery and it works a treat to remove any pilling. This is such a great little tool for revamping any of your jumpers or sweatshirts or jackets even. I've even used this on some of my wool coats. When you start to get bubbles on the sleeve, it just completely transforms the garment. But just make sure when you do it, lay the garment flat because there are blades spinning around in there, so you want to be really careful not to make any holes. But yeah, I love it. I've used it so much, and I actually used it a lot on my jumpers before putting them back into storage for winter. So the next season when I get them out, they're going to be lovely and fresh. And the final maintenance tip that I have for you today is make do and mend. So mend anything that's broken. So over time your pieces will start to show a little wear and tear. So if you're a sewer like me, then this will be really easy for you. I've mended many buttons and hems over the years, but you can easily find great videos on YouTube for the best sewing techniques in these certain areas. It's super easy to do a running stitch on the hem and sew buttons on, so you'll be fine in that area. But if you aren't confident in that department, you can always take anything to a seamstress to be fixed too. Another alternative to sewing is using hemming web. So if I'm in a rush and my trousers have come undone and I'm going out or I'm going away, I will use this. So I use this a lot on tailored trousers mainly. I just turn the garment inside out and just measure roughly how much hemming web I'm going to need to use, and then cut it to size. And I lay it down just to double check that it's all going to be fitting nicely, and then I flip it over and do the same on the other side. So once everything's measured correctly, I then gently fold it back in on itself. Then I check that the webbing is nice and flat and begin to iron on a high heat. Just be careful doing this on any delicate fabrics, and adjust the heat when necessary. And then I flip it back over and iron on the right side as well, making sure everything is all secure and glued down. So basically the hemming web just melts onto the other side of the fabric and secures it in place like so. So it's lovely and easy and super quick too. So there we go guys, I think I've covered everything. I really hope you enjoyed today's video and found it super helpful. It's been really nice to actually film something different and actually give you guys some tips on what I do to maintain my clothes, because we all want our clothes to last, and these are just some of the things that I do to help prolong the life of them. So if I've missed anything out, or if you've got something that you do that I haven't mentioned, then please let me know. I hope you enjoyed it. I will link everything featured below as well, and I'll see you all very soon for a new video.